Hello and welcome to What the Flick, and we're doing something somewhat unusual today. We are going to be talking about Sailor Moon Crystal, which is neither Mad Men nor a movie.
It's actually Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon Crystal.
Thank you, William. This is, of course, William Bibbiani, who is very accurate.
Thank you.
Tim Frisch.
I was worried I got the things wrong.
Okay.
It's one or the other. Ooh, nice.
Yeah, there we
Nicely
go.
done. Nicely
I
done.
did dress as Princess Serenity last year in a gown,
Well done.
ball gown. So you know,
Well done.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I want to mention that you can actually watch all the current episodes of Sailor Moon Crystal, full subtitle.
Oh yes, Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon Crystal.
Yes, that's all right now on Crunchyroll.com. Of course, you know, they're still coming out 26 episodes. This is very exciting for anyone who may have grown up watching Sailor Moon or watched the 90s version at some point. I think it was unavoidable in the 90s. But now we have this beautiful new take on it, Sailor Moon Crystal. We're on episode 20 now, so there will be 2 episodes a month coming out until we reach 26. So you can actually go get a free 30-day trial right now of the premium version, which means ad-free, HD, 1080p quality. You can watch it on any of your devices.
It's English subs, and you get them an hour after they premiere in Japan, I believe. Yeah, so it's right
So that's
away.
across the board
Yeah.
for whatever premium anime series you want to watch. And you can do that by going to crunchyroll.com/TYT for our special promo. Please use it. So let's talk about one of the great reasons to use this service, Sailor Moon Crystal Pretty Guardian.
Yes. Watching Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon Crystal.
Right.
Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon Crystal.
Perfect.
Yes, exactly. It is perfect because it's Sailor Moon. Everyone loves Sailor Moon. Not everyone loves Sailor Moon. Sailor Moon was I don't know if it was marketed as such, but in my generation, you know, when it started hitting the airwaves, it was the show for girls.
You know,
Girls
I think
can watch this
I
show.
think it is marketed. Well, there are kinds of anime, and there's shonen and shoujo. This is one definitely for girls. Makeup.
Yeah, even like in like the opening credits song for Sailor Moon Crystal, it's just like girls who don't need to be rescued by guys, shiny makeup. And that's actually the thing that I was talking to my girlfriend about Sailor Moon. I was like, why do you think it resonates? And she made a great point that Sailor Moon is a show about feminine women who are interested in feminine pursuits, but that doesn't rob them of their power. They can still
Thank
be
you,
very,
William.
very powerful.
I was about to interject with power, and
Yeah.
that doesn't mean a man. But what
Even though
it is,
she gets saved by
it is sort
Tuxedo
of
Mask.
a weaponized femininity. Like not
Yeah.
saying that what is feminine is inherently weak or diminutive or small.
It's okay to still want jewelry and put on makeup and like pretty outfits. That doesn't stop you from saving the world.
I'm not doing this for you. I'm
That's
doing
right.
this for me.
And thank you for that. Thank you for that. But no, I think that's something we see a lot, particularly in Western culture, in our stories, our TV shows, our films. Characters, particularly young female characters in movies and TV shows, who are very focused on clothing, appearances. They tend to be, if not demonized, and at least treated as somewhat immature. You look at something like Mean Girls as the proto example of that. It's like, you know, Lindsay Lohan just comes in, rolls her eyes. Blah. But something like Sailor Moon just says those are just honest things that they're interested in, and they're also going to kick a lot of butt and throw their tiaras at you and talk to their talking cats, and they're going to romance that cute guy in the tuxedo wearing a mask who looks suspiciously like that other guy who always wears a
I
tuxedo.
always thought that.
Yeah.
I thought they
Who
looked
could
very
he
similar.
be? Who could he be? And it does bother me that he does do a little bit of saving, especially in the early episodes.
I think what's going on in the beginning is we're seeing Usagi at her most immature and weak and childish. But as she matures and becomes more accustomed to her role as a Sailor Scout, she learns, you know, I need to protect my friends. I need to be stronger, or things aren't going to happen. So I think it's very much a journey. I'm going to be honest, when I first started watching this, I thought, I don't like this show. Because I watched it when I was a child, and I realized, you know, I'm a grown woman now. It's going to be, I'm going to look at this differently.
What did you worry about you weren't going to like, or that you weren't liking initially? Like, what was it?
It was mainly her immaturity and
Yeah.
unwillingness to accept her role and step up and help people and try and be proactive. But that is something that she grows into later on, and I think it's very much a coming of age kind of story. I mean, if you think back to who you were, you know, at the beginning of your journey, you might be a little embarrassed of some of the things you did and said. I certainly feel that way.
I mean, I was horrible. I was just horrible at that age. And that's something that I think you see a lot of in anime. A lot of anime is very character-driven in a way that not necessarily a lot of American shows, even animated shows, are. There's sort of an establishment of a status quo in a lot of American shows, particularly for kids, and then that status quo just persists. And in a lot of anime shows, and this is one of the anime, when I was a kid and anime started coming into America, with shows like Robotech, for example, and we started saying, oh wait, characters can develop over time, things can matter. A lot of the characters on these shows start off in a way that is off-putting, or you may not like them at all, and then by the end you really grow to care about them. And in something like Sailor Moon, Sailor Moon is really kind of terrible, actually. Like in some respects, she's there's nothing to look up to.
She's very lazy.
Yeah.
She does not do well in school. She's selfish.
The second episode is about the evils of studying. Like, it's a weird kind of motif.
The villain attacks with papers and tests and exams.
Yeah, like, don't study too much. They're brainwashing you. But you're right. It's because we start there, it is that much more powerful when she gets stronger over the course of time. And that's the sort of thing that I think anime has all over a lot of American TV, especially TV for younger people. Not that all anime is for younger people. Obviously, a lot of it is not.
No.
Obviously, a lot of it is not.
I've watched some dark stuff.
But a lot of the anime that started coming over, like when anime started coming over to America in like the late 80s in force, there were two kinds. There was the kinds that came out straight to TV, stuff like Battle of the Planets and Robotech again, and then we started getting Pokemon and Digimon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Later on. But then there were the movies, and we started getting stuff like Akira and Vampire Hunter D. And it was like,
Ghost in the Shell, Evangelion.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, Evangelion. Oh my God.
That's one of my favorites.
Evangelion. I like binge watched Evangelion over a weekend, and I've never been more depressed in my life. Like I thought I was going to kill myself. It's so brutal. It's so brutal, and I mean that in a good way. Like holy God. But yeah, no. But the thing is, those types of storytelling motifs persist in the shows, whether or not, or at least certain shows, whether or not they are for a certain demographic. And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people in my demographic started to move towards them. These were different, these were vibrant, these were kinetic, these were very subjective in a way that a lot of American shows aren't. And American shows will just stand around talking. Even just there's a cultural clash, I think, for a lot of American audiences. They use a lot of symbology in anime that's very, very different, like a nosebleed to indicate lustfulness.
Yes.
Yeah, that is we do not have that, and it's an interesting new take on storytelling for people.
Have you noticed that a lot in the Sailor Moon Crystal?
Not yet. No, I haven't gotten so far into it. Do they get to that? Do they get to that?
I mean,
I've seen that a lot.
That's one of the problems that I'm sort of having with the show right now. Is I feel it's lost the charm and the expressiveness that the original had. Maybe it's just because I'm used to all those anime tropes, but it seems like Usagi only has one expression in the show now.
Yeah.
Whereas before she had all these different cartoon expressive motifs going on.
You're arguing that it's almost too polished now that they've just updated
It does,
the animation.
yeah. Obviously, the animation looks much sharper and crystal, and
It's much more
crisper and
easy
better.
on the eyes.
Yeah.
To say.
Yeah.
For
But the older one was more
art
fun,
style.
more goofy. More stuff was going on.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
Well, this is supposed to. It's been said that this is much closer to the original source material than the 90s anime, where they had invented their own stories, and they changed a lot of the characters' traits. For instance, like Sailor Mars was kind of boy crazy, and this one she is not.
Yeah. Well, then we're going to get to characters later on who, in the American version, they had their characters dramatically changed because in the original anime they were lesbians, right?
Yes, Sailor Neptune and Uranus.
That's right. But when they got here, they made them cousins.
Cousins that are still kind of flirty.
Yeah, you didn't make that better. You just made that creeper, actually.
Links, cousins dangereux.
So I'm curious. I haven't gotten all the way through it. I don't know when they show up. I hope they show up at some point within this first series. But yeah, I hope they can just commit to it this time and just really play that. I don't know.
Well, it's a different time now.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
Yeah. Otherwise, the last 15 years of my life have been.
But we are
nothing.
watching the direct Japanese dub.
Yes.
Right.
Sub rather, as opposed to the American English dub. So we're going to see it the way it's meant to be. So I think in this instance at least, it's very, very likely we'll see the original true to form version.
And when in doubt, it really is always better to see. I find most anime with subtitles. I think Disney does a good job with some of their Studio Ghibli productions, but for the most part, even just the subtle differences. You look at something like Attack on Titan, and the protagonist in the American version is so much whinier than in the one in the anime version. I buy it so much more fully. in the original Japanese audio. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, I'd say it's so much more effective.
I haven't listened to the American version of Attack on Titan yet.
Yeah, I saw the first.
Because I watched it on Crunchyroll as a
That's right. I caught like the first episode of it on TV, and it was in the American dub, and I was like, "What the heck is this? No, thank you." Click, and then I put on the other version because it's so much better.
An anime purist here.
Well, generally, I mean, usually there's a good dub, but when in doubt, you want to see it the way it was intended, and
of course.
you miss a lot of inflection. There's a lot of if you remember the old Speed Racers, they didn't have enough dialogue to fill it. They would just have to end with "ha ha," just because there weren't enough mouth flaps. So it's so much more effective, I think, to watch the original dub. Although occasionally subtitles aren't perfect, but in Sailor Moon Crystal, for example, Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon Crystal, they seem really great. Actually, it's a really solid subtitle, really solid translation, nothing too awkward. Didn't even notice, and sometimes even in a great series at a very high-profile release, you can see typos, which is always very frustrating. This is very, very crisp and clean, and it really works well.
Or you get someone's strange take on things.
Yeah.
Like if you've watched maybe the Chinese subtitled Star Wars Episode 3.
I have
not.
That would make that scene a lot better, actually. I like that.
It was solid. It was a
some
solid
ways.
rendition.
I'll have to check that out. That's really, really great.
Yeah, so you two want as true of a translation as you can get.
Well, all of the anime on Crunchyroll are professionally subtitled.
Yes.
As far as I can tell, yes. I mean, it looks great. Yeah, so good.
Who is your favorite Sailor Scout? I want to ask before we close this.
It's a cheap. I'm going to say Luna.
Oh, the cat?
I want the cat. That cat is awesome. That cat talks. That cat helps you through your life's foibles and struggles. That's what I want in my life.
She's the real leader of the team. She's
really
always
is.
telling everybody what to do and
She's the
activate your
Merlin of the
power.
Round
and
Table.
Use the brooch and the pen.
If you get further along, you'll find that you are wrong.
Yeah, obviously.
Tim, real quick.
I always like Sailor Mercury. She's smart. She knows what's going on.
I felt for her in that second episode.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. I like Sailor Mars because she is fiery and aggressive, and I am into that. What's your favorite of the Sailor Scouts, and what do you think of Sailor Moon Crystal? I'm very interested to know, so please let us know below in the comments. And
Who
we'll see you.
is Tuxedo Mask?
Who
Let us
is
know
that
your theories.
man?